Thank you for joining us today. My name is Beth Gordon, and along with Abby Don, we are co-founders of the Chippewa Ranch Camp Alumni Association. Abby and I created the Chippewa Alumni Association in order to bridge Chippewa alums of all ages to get together in the following ways. Number one, to connect to friends and Chippewa values, to leverage nostalgia for camp. Number two, network and grow professionally in order to further our careers. And three, serve the community through philanthropy and volunteer work. Today, we are launching the CRC Professional Profile Series, a monthly collection of interviews with Chippewa alumni across generations and across professions. We have selected women at various stages of their careers to share stories about how they chose their profession, how they trained for it, what a typical day is like, how things they may have learned at camp may have affected their decision, and tips for people early in their careers. The main audience for the Professional Profile Series is young women who are just beginning to think about their career, whether they are ambitious high school students or college-age students preparing for internships or graduate school. Of course, we truly hope that this will appear curious for any Chippy who wants to learn more about the ways Chippies are making a difference in the world. We are thrilled to kick off our Professional Profile Series today with none other than Kato Hinden Gupta. Hi, Kato.
Hi, Bertha Gordon. I call that Bertha. That's my nickname for Beth.
And you know how I got that name, by the way, Kato?
I don't think I know that story.
It has to do with your Aunt Patty always calling me Bertha Big Butt.
Oh, right. Right. I didn't know that. Yes.
But enough about me.
Having me. I'm thrilled. I'm tickled. I'm so excited to be the first of this professional profile series. So awesome.
Well, Kato, tell us about your years at camp. When were you there?
So I started in 1996 and I went all the way through 2009. However, I skipped 2008 because of a career. My career had training over the summer, so I couldn't go in 2008. So that was 13 summers. And then I took a 10-year hiatus and returned in 2018 with my husband, Raul, who is now a super chippy. He drank the Kool-Aid. He's obsessed with camp. And our dog, Gus. And I was 7 months pregnant with my son, Louie. So we went back to camp. We had the best summer. And it was so fun just being older at a different age and still developing those awesome relationships with everybody. That's what camp is all about.
And Kato, what was your role when you went back?
So I was the CIT director. The CITs I had are now freshmen in college, which is crazy.
Crazy.
And I had been CIT director previously twice before. So this was my third time as CIT director. And what was so fun was I got to still be with high schoolers and, provide that guidance to high schoolers in the summer that I do all throughout the school year too.
And that ties into your career. Tell us about your career and what you do and how you got there.
So I work at West Leyden High School, and just to sort of orient everyone geographically, the Leyden district is right by O'Hare. So we're about 5 minutes from O'Hare. We're kind of situated in between Oak Park and Elmhurst. So sort of that western edge of the city, right in the beginning of those suburbs. And I'm the department chair of student services. So I oversee all of the counselors. So there's 8 counselors and our 3 social workers. And I also have a reduced caseload of 90 students. So I do have my own small caseload, and really the best part about my job is still being able to be a counselor. I wouldn't have taken this job if that wasn't part of it. The real joy that I get from working in schools is working with students. I also enjoy the leadership and management part, but that's also the most challenging part of my job is managing adults. The students are never the problem. They're always the best part of my day. And but I also see the most personal growth in the leadership and management aspect.
Where did you go to school, Kato, and what was your major?
So I went to George Washington University in DC. I was one of those high schoolers that wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to help people, but I was terrible at science, so that wasn't going to work. So I started freshman year as the pre-med track, and that very quickly fell by the wayside, and I was an English major, which makes way more sense because I love reading, and I was a French minor, and I studied abroad in Paris.
Nice.
So I did a ton of reading and writing in college, but I also had different internships every year. And my internship senior year was working at a middle school in a very low income neighborhood. I took the train and 2 buses every day to my internship. She'd ask my mom about it. She worried about me every single day. And I ran an after school creative writing program at that school.
How wonderful.
And that's what really sparked my interest in education. But I still didn't know in what capacity I wanted to be an educator at that point yet.
And we should also let folks know that your mom, Bobby, was also a Chippy.
She was, absolutely. Not for as long as me, but she was a Chippy. And she loves that she gave me and Patty, my aunt, the gift of camp. So.
And Marilyn was my CIT in 1973.
Well. Yes.
Tell us about the highlight of your career or something you are especially proud of.
So I would say I'm most proud of my relationships with students and the connections that I make with students. That's the very most important part of my job. But something in particular that I've been really proud of is so Leyden is a pretty low income area. We have families that have multiple jobs. A lot of our students are first generation students. We have 80% of our students are on free and reduced lunch. And we don't get the parent engagement that we always hope for. So there was a big push in my district when I started there 5 years ago to increase our parent engagement. And we had, focus groups, and we did needs assessments to figure out ways to better engage our parents. And from all of those responses, we started my counterpart at East Leyden, the other department chair, and then our another colleague who does our community outreach. The 3 of us started what's called Leyden Parent University, where we on a Saturday basically host a conference for our parents to learn how to support their child through high school and after to be successful. So it's a way to really empower parents to be part of the school community, feel comfortable coming to school. We don't allow students to come to this event because we want our parents to feel like school is also theirs. And
Wow.
we really develop that partnership with our parents, and they attend 3 different sessions during the day. We order lunch for them. They stay for lunch. We raffle off scholarships. It's a super fun, awesome, celebratory day for everybody to come learn how to be a support for their kids.
Kato, I have goosebumps just listening to you say it. Not only what you're doing, but your passion. I can feel your passion through this
interview.
Thanks. What an amazing gift that you have that you're doing that to your community. Terrific. Congratulations.
Thank you. Our first, we weren't able to have it last year because of COVID, but we have had over, I would say, 600 or 700 parents attend each year.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's just the what's really cool too is just the collaboration with all of our staff who present the different sessions. You know, we have 13 sessions that we present in both
Wow.
English and Spanish. So what that means is finding 25 people to present these on these different topics.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's a really, really cool event, and probably what I'm most proud of to have brought to Leyden.
Well, that is a case study for other high schools for sure. What an amazing program. Have you guys done a case study where you've seen the graduation rate increase because of the parent engagement at this point?
You know, it's funny you ask, and this is sort of a nod to the importance of networking and talking to people. But when I worked at Deerfield High School for 2 years during my master's program, I was their college and career center specialist. So I was in the counseling department and running the college and career center. And my supervisor, who was the then college counselor, Beth Gilfillan, she was immediately became my mentor, and she took me to every single event that she went to, and she made me talk to people and pick up the phone and email, and she really like forced me to do all of those things, and I would not be where I am without her. And what's cool is it's kind of come full circle, because now she is a counseling educator at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, and she is doing a lot of her research on barriers to college, how to provide better access and parent engagement. And she's using Leyden Parent University as one of her research, events. And she's actually attended and presented at LPU for 3 years in a row. I actually just spoke to her today because she submitted an article to a journal about it. So we're hoping to sort of blow this thing up and make it so other high schools can adopt this program and, provide a framework so that they can bring it to their schools.
Amazing. Part of what we're launching here with the professional profile series ties into our mentorship and internship program that our fellow Chippy, Steffi Hoken Moss, has been working with, and Abby Don as well, with really getting engagement for mentorship, the importance of it. I didn't even bring it up today. I'm so glad you brought it up because it is just so important moving forward. What kind of suggestions you have for someone who is a senior in high school or a freshman in college, or perhaps even a senior in college looking to go into the field that you're in? What would you say to them now?
So I was thinking about this one. I think, and I say this to my current students too, is that it's okay to not have a linear path. I did all sorts of different stuff before I got to my position. I did after college, I did a program called City Year, which is a volunteer program in middle schools and high schools all across the nation. There's about 20 plus sites. And I did that because I knew I wanted to do something in education, but I just wasn't sure. And I wasn't sure that teaching was it. And so I did City Year for 2 years. That's actually where I met Raul, fun little fact. And for those of you that know Smoss, who is a current Chippy, she's currently doing City Year in Chicago too. So we have a little Chippewa, community with City Year, which is kind of fun.
Terrific.
So I did that for 2 years. Then I was a teaching assistant at a CPS Montessori school, which there aren't very many of, right by the United Center. Then I worked at Deerfield and got my master's. And then I worked at a high school in the western suburbs near Joliet in Plainfield, commuting from the city 50 miles every day.
Bless your heart.
And then I worked at Lincoln Park High School in CPS, and then I got to Leyden. So I think I just would encourage people to take those opportunities that come to you and not be afraid to take those opportunities, and know that if it doesn't feel like this is a straight path to what you want to do, you'll end up getting there, or you'll end up doing what you want to do, and maybe it ends up being different than what you had planned, and that's okay. And it's okay to not know exactly what you want to do yet. You have time, as long as you're taking advantage of those networking opportunities and researching what you want to do, and taking classes that you like, that you're interested in, and not just what you think you should be doing. I think that that's usually what I preach to all of my students, to not worry about taking that straight path to that career.
I think that's excellent advice. I was talking, I have my nieces are triplets and they're all in their senior year in college right now. And it's amazing to me how three people from the same place are so very different in their career trajectory of what's next.
Right.
But the
Are
one
they
thing
all
they
at the same school?
two of them are at University of Miami and one is at a small school in Georgia called Kennesaw State.
Okay, yeah.
And
Hmm.
what's really kind of neat is how two of them are actually going to take a gap year at the end of their senior year because they don't know what they want to do, if it's meaning to attend graduate school or jump right into a career, but not really knowing what their career is. And I love that they come to me and say, Auntie Beth, what is the one thing you would advise us to do? And number one is don't listen to me. And number two is to follow your heart.
Like,
What is it that you want to do that's going to
right,
help you further down the ride? Because at 21 years old, you don't have to have all the answers.
right. And what's interesting too is there's been a big push in my district to sort of shift our language from where are you going to college to what's your plan for after high school.
Oh,
So
nice.
us Chippies, we for the most part grew up in communities where going to college was the expectation.
Hmm.
And it's unfortunate because there are so many opportunities out there. And I have sort of had to reshift and unlearn a lot of stuff from how I grew up, and keep that open mind to all of the options that are out there for students, that is not just college. And so we are constantly talking about options to our students, and how do you keep all of those options, and how do you keep all of those doors open. So just I would encourage everyone to look at all of those options and not just what sort of is expected of us.
Internships between high school and college, you don't hear of that too often. Do you? Is that something that's available now, or when businesses are looking for interns, they are looking for college students? What are you seeing?
Um, I think it sort of depends on the field and the type of company it is. City Year actually is 17 to 24-year-olds. So on my team were a couple of people who had just graduated from high school, and they weren't sure what they wanted to do yet. So they decided, well, instead of spending a year of tuition money that I'm not sure I don't know what I want to do yet, I'm going to
Hmm.
try working for a year. So City Year is definitely an option. And there actually are some gap year websites that are pretty cool that list all these different programs. I know a lot of my students end up getting some pretty high certifications in the tech area through a lot
Hmm.
of our career and tech education classes, and get
Terrific.
hired straight by companies out of high school. So there are some of my high school students that plan very intentionally for getting hired straight out of high school and actually get paid pretty well, which is something that, I think we just didn't grow up with that sense of, how to do that.
Yeah,
So,
and it
yeah,
wasn't even, are you going to school? But it was the right school. I think that's what we grew up with.
right. So we're really trying to remove that stigma, and even the
I
stigma
love
of
that.
community college. I mean,
Hmm.
what a great way to get your general education classes out of the way and then transfer if that's what you need. And if not, there's a ton of jobs that only require that 2-year education.
That's right. There's a lot out there. And the most important thing that we can take away from our conversation today, Kato, was it's not a straight path. And don't be afraid to jump around or hopscotch until you find what makes you happy,
Right.
what's going to help you grow your career in a professional way.
Exactly.
Any other sort of words of wisdom to share with our fellow Chippy alumni and or?
One quick story I have just,
Oh, please.
before we end. I think one other piece of advice is, when we're looking at jobs and deciding what would be a good fit for you, I think a lot of people sell themselves short and think, oh, I'm not qualified for that position, or I don't have enough experience for that position. And I feel like a perfect example of that, because when I actually applied for a counseling position at Leyden the year before I applied for the department chair position, and I didn't get the counseling position when I applied. And the following year, when I was at Lincoln Park High School, which I loved that high school, and I was very sad to leave it, but the department chair position opened and I got wind of it, and I was very, very nervous about applying because I'd only been a counselor for 3 years. And I felt young and I felt inexperienced, and I didn't know that I was ready for that. And I applied. And I think because they knew me, because I had interviewed with them the year before and made it to the final round and then I didn't get it, they called me for an interview and I accepted. And then I totally freaked out and I called them back and pulled myself from the interview process. And then the assistant principal, who's still my assistant principal, he's still my direct supervisor, he called me and said, hey, I just wanted to see what happened, if there's something I can answer for you. We were excited to have you back. We know you. And I was honest about my concerns. And then he explained how there wasn't an admin at West that was older than like 40 and to not worry about age, to not worry about experience, and that he obviously couldn't guarantee me the job, but to come interview and see how it works out. And look how it worked out.
That's amazing. So persistence, confidence, relationship.
Yeah, I think
things.
confidence, just not let the employer decide if you're qualified or not, because I think more often you'll find that either you can learn, even if there's a learning curve, or you are more qualified and experienced than you think you are for a position, and that you'll rise to the occasion, even if it's a tough one. So just some more words of wisdom, and to not, be the one to decide whether you should apply to a job or not, and go for that interview, and you can always say no and take it from there.
That is amazing advice, Kato.
Well,
that was great advice. I think
my supervisor and I always talk about that story and how just funny it is that I quit on them and then I went back.
That to me is almost like the pillar of this entire conversation, is the success and the confidence, and don't doubt yourself.
Exactly. That
Everybody,
is my biggest message, is just, even if you feel so inadequate, fake it till you'll make it. Don't doubt yourself, and go for those opportunities.
absolutely. And if we have alumni that want to reach out to you, Kato, if somebody's interested in internship information, education, counseling information, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So I hope everybody feels comfortable calling, reaching out to me, emailing. I love talking about job stuff and anything in education, or really anything at all. With counseling, Raul always laughs at me because whenever we're meeting new people, I ask what they do and then I ask how they got there, because I love to learn different people's paths so I can talk about it with my students. So, please feel free. My email is Kato Ann with an E Gupta @gmail. And you can also find me on Facebook, or however's easiest for you all.
Well, Kato, thank you for being our inaugural professional profile series alumni.
Thank you, I so appreciate the chat, and I feel really very honored and delighted to be part of this. So thank you.
Of course. Stay happy, stay healthy.
You too.
Our best to Raul.
Thank you.
And Louie, of course.
Yes.
And thank you again.
Thanks, Beth. Miss you.
Miss you terribly, my friend.
Take care.
Bye.